Okay, so let's start off with a calf stretch. Standing to the left hand side of your half dome and place the ball of your right foot on the top of the dome. Thinking about where your feet are pointing, bringing the weight back into your heels, and thinking about that rib and pelvic alignment. If you want to increase the stretch, you can take a step forwards and come back. Move across to the other side of the dome, and the same thing with the left foot. Again, thinking about feet position. And we'll do that once more on each foot. So you're building up to holding this for longer time. So if you can just pause the video and increase the length of time you stretch. And swap feet. Now if you take your chair or your stool, and we'll go do the double calf stretch. So remember, you're just a couple of inches away from the edge of the chair with your half dome. Ball of both feet on the top, feet pointing forwards, and you're going to hinge from the hips and bring your bum out towards the back wall, and think about lifting that tailbone up towards the sky. And again, if you need to, bolster up to where you're comfortable. Some of you might be here, some of you might be here, and some of you might be down here. Just be aware, be gentle on your body as to how much stretch you can have down here. It should be a nice stretch, not an excruciating one. Just thinking about relaxing the kneecaps. Okay, that's great. So pop your chair to one side. We don't need the half dome just yet. And we'll do a top of the foot stretch. So if you need to hold on to a wall or the chair, then do so. And you're just going to lay the top of your foot on the floor. And again, be mindful of tight feet. If you need to decrease the stretch, come further forward, or you can sit on a chair and do this seated, which is even a gentler stretch for you. If you want to increase the stretch, then you come further back. And just be mindful of what the other leg is, the other foot's doing, keeping that foot straight, and making sure the heel doesn't wing out to the side, but that it's nice and in line with the rest of your leg. Okay, let's change feet. Okay. Now let's have a look at the bolstered sitting we're doing and take that further into some pelvic mobility. So sitting on your half dome so that you allow your pelvis to roll into your neutral position, feet a little bit further forwards, and you're just going to traction and bring your body forward. So using your feet, tractioning along the floor so that your pelvis rocks forward, and then pushing backwards so your pelvis rocks backwards. So you're just creating a little bit of movement here in your pelvis via your feet, not via your back. So you're not using your back to make the movement, but you're just using your feet to push and pull against the floor. And it just starts some gentle mobility of the pelvis and just stops the pelvis and the upper body working as one. We just want to start to separate those movements. Lovely. Okay, and then we'll come on to our psoas release. Sorry, not the psoas release, the piriformis release, or the number 4 stretch. So you're just going to lay the ankle on the opposite foot, and you're just going to sit here and just allow that muscle that's deep in your bum and the muscles down the outside of the thigh here, just to be able to release the tension and allow your knee to start to drop towards the floor. So for some of you, you might have your knee level. For others, it might be right up here. It doesn't matter. That's your starting point. Don't stretch it. Don't push down on the leg. Just allow that muscle to gradually release as it needs to. And you can use your hand and give a little bit of a massage if you need to. And it's important that you've got your leg resting on the knee. We don't want to be using the extending the ankle joint. We're not doing that. We're working here. Okay, let's swap over. And just take note of whether one side's a little bit trickier than the other. Okay, lovely. While we're sitting here, let's think about our breathing. So remember, breathing into the rib cage and allowing the abdominal muscles to stay still. So no rise and fall for the stomach. It's all expansion, side to side and forward and back in the ribs. So if you need to, put the tips of your longest fingers together just under your boobs. As you breathe in, they should move apart from each other, and as you breathe out, they should come back. So breathing this way not only relieves pressure on your pelvic floor. If you think when you're breathing and your stomach goes in and out, with every breath you're putting pressure on your pelvic floor. This way you're easing that pressure off your pelvic floor. You are using your lungs, expanding them as much as they can be, so you're taking some nice deep breaths. And you're also, because the ribs are moving out and in, and they also move very subtly up and down, you're creating the strength in your rib cage as well. So practice this often, and you'll start to click in, and this will be your habitual way of breathing, which is what we want to work on. Okay, now let's do our monster walk. So chair to one side. Remember, this is starting to develop the muscles here on the side of your thighs, which is going to help to hold your pelvis in that aligned position. It's also going to help to strengthen your hip joint, which is brilliant, just what we need. So I've only got a short room, so I'm just going to go back and forth a couple of times. I want you to pause the video once you see what we're doing, and just do work out how much width or length of the room that you're in that you can do. Build on that as the weeks progress. So feet pointing forwards, and you're just going to rock side to side. And now we're going to travel with that. So you're just going to move your leg just a very couple of inches out, and this one a couple of inches together. You're not bringing them, you're not doing this kind of step, you are doing a rocking. You want to imagine that if you've got some rope in between your legs, that rope doesn't loosen and tighten with each step, but it stays the same. Okay, So I'm going to come back if you pause the video now if you want to, and just do more of that. Great. We're going to, just before we do our psoas release, we're going to look at moving the kneecaps, so releasing the kneecaps. So you're wanting to, using your quad muscles here, lift your kneecaps up and allow them to drop. Lift up and drop. So you're not doing this. You're allowing the knees to come up and down. You're finding it difficult, come into your sitting position, the edge of the chair, legs out straight, so you're taking the weight off your quads, and you can do it this way. If you're finding it difficult, it's just showing that you are using your quads to hold yourself up. And so by sitting down, you are using the chair to take your weight and your quads can relax. So ideally, you don't want to be holding tension here. It needs to be your bum and your thighs and your calves, which hold your weight up and propel you forwards. So if you are having knee trouble, this is a great exercise as well to be doing regularly. Lovely, so we've covered quite a bit today. So let's end in our psoas release. So grab your bolster, lengthways on the floor. And you remember you're just having your shoulder blades on the bottom, on the edge of the bolster. Use blankets and cushions to bolster yourself up as you need to. Remembering that it's keeping the thighs on the ground, that's important, and allowing space for your ribs to drop. So if you're bolstered, if you're not bolstered enough, you'll find your thighs popping off the ground, which we don't want. They need to be down on the ground, so those psoas muscles can just start to release and lengthen and take time for everything to relax. If you need to, finding uncomfortable, you can put some pillows under your arms as well, just so that you can lift them slightly. That's fine. And just relax here. Minimum 5 minutes. If you can go up to 20, that's fantastic. Listen to a meditation or just enjoy the silence and the peace. And I'll leave you here.